All right, back up to the home screen. We're going to click on create listing. So right now, when as an agent, you go out and get a listing, you start your forms in web form. And then depending on the agent, you either use something like DocuSign or Authentisign. Of course, some of you still print out paperwork and get wet signatures. And then eventually you're having to email all these documents into the conveyancers, and they're staying organized in their own system using .loop. Well, with SkySlope, we want to help keep things digital the whole way through and make it really efficient for you as agents to get your property set up and documents turned in. When you click on create listing, this is the first time you get to meet our artificial listing assistant. Her name is Sky. Sky is kind of our version of Siri, and she'll get smarter and smarter over time as she gets to know you. And what's nice about this too is when you start to put in an address here, we pull from all sorts of different places. So you start to put an address. I'm just going to use a local address here so I can show you how our MLS integration works. But when you start to put in an address, if it's already an active listing on the MLS, Sky will say, hey, good news. I found some information about this listing to save you time. And we do integrate with the MLS in BC. We integrate with other MLSs across Canada. So this is what it would look like when you're pulling in one of your active listings. Let me make sure I keep everybody muted here. So you'll say that this is my listing, and then it will say, what type of listing is this? So you can see here, it's just one question at a time. We keep it very simple. Say this is a resale. How much is the property listed for? Well, again, we're pulling that information from the MLS, so you don't have to type it in. You'll just confirm that it's accurate by clicking next. Listing commission, sales commission. Now, I know in Canada, you guys have kind of some unique, especially in BC, percentages off the first 100,000. So this is a question essentially we'd be able to just eliminate from your workflow here because you have a little bit different setup. How long is the listing for? Well, we pull the listing date from the MLS. We'd fill in the expiration date here. And lastly, who is selling the property? You put in your seller's contact information. My favorite seller is always Oprah. I'll click next and it says, your time is valuable. Let me order this report for you. Don't pay attention to this. This is a California only report. So I'll say no thanks. And you'll click create my listing. So what you've essentially just done there as an agent is you've set up your file folder. Right now you might have a paper folder that you carry around with you. Well, we've set up that same folder, but we've set it up digitally through SkySlope. So now we're at the actual checklist. And as an agent, this is where you would be spending most of your time is on this checklist. And Cheryl, you might remember this. As a company, you guys would get to fully customize this. So as a brokerage, you would customize every line item, whatever order this is in and whatever documents are required, because you've all had a checklist for listings and for deals that you're used to following anyway for what's required for documents. And I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody if you're not muted. So that way there's not a lot of feedback. All right, so now we're at the checklist. The main thing that we train you on as agents are how do I get documents in? And the first way is our best way. You take the address of the property. In this case, it's 550 Boys Boulevard, and we turn it into an email. So Boys Boulevard 550 at skyslope.com. This email serves two purposes. It's for getting documents into the system, but it's also for saving email conversations for compliance. For getting documents in, how about for this example? Let's just say that your seller, Oprah, had her assistant scan a bunch of paperwork and just emailed it to me. So I have an email from my seller. So if I go to my email, of course, I have an email from Oprah, and it says, hi, Jesse, here's all my documents, and there's the attachment. Right now, as agents, what you're doing is you're having to send this into the conveyancers, and then as conveyancers, you're having to organize everything on your own. On SkySlope, whoever has these documents in their email, whether it's the agent or the administrator at the office, you can forward them directly to Boys Boulevard email and click send. This entire packet of documents will go directly from your email and will end up getting dropped off right inside of this document section that's already tied to the specific property. So it drops it off right in here. This email is even easy enough and short enough because of the fact that we use the street name and numbers that it can be typed into the scanner. Because we know that no matter what, as agents, sometimes you still have a paper file. You can't help it. Maybe you're dealing with some really kind of old school clientele. Well, if you ever need to scan some paperwork, you can scan it right to this email as well, and those documents will end up in here. You can also do drag and drop. Everybody knows how to do this. If you have some documents on your desktop somewhere, you can drag them over, drop them off. Believe it or not, there's still even a way to fax documents into SkySlope. We know that some lawyers still like to fax, or some clients might still like to fax documents, but we have a way to fax documents in as well. The other reason that we created this email was for compliance and saving email conversations, because we understand that as agents, you can send up to 100 emails now with every single transaction. And of course, you're encouraged to save all of your important emails. And that means right now, if you are saving all of your email conversations, you're having to do that in your email inbox. You're creating a bunch of random folders and trying to stay organized that way. We made this really simple. So for example, Aaron, if you're writing a really important email chain, you know you want to save that for your records for later, you can CC in this property email. And even if there's no documents involved, we still capture the entire body of the email for you. So now as agents, it's going to be really easy to keep track of this stuff. If you go into the log, the email's in here, it's date and timestamp. I sent it, we sent it to the property, I forwarded in the documents. Now here's the best part, and SkySlope is the only transaction management system that actually does this properly. You click on this little email received link here, we save the full chain of the email. So if I scroll down, there's Oprah smiling at us again. You can look at the documents in here too, but you don't need to, because like we just talked about, if there's documents in the email, SkySlope already picked up on that and dropped them off in the document section on the way in. So if I go back to documents, there's a couple documents that have been uploaded. The last step now for you as an agent is when you're ready to get your documents turned into the conveyancers, you put them in their appropriate spot on the actual checklist in SkySlope. So think of it this way. Anytime you put a document on the checklist in SkySlope, that's like you drove in and dropped it off on the conveyancer's desk, or you emailed it into the generic email. Now, at the bottom here, this document, this is our most common example because this is only one PDF, but it's a full packet of documents. You guys know how sometimes you just scan everything all at once, so everything's jammed in together as one big PDF. Well, we have a really nice split feature where we can break this up for you within the actual system. So this is pretty cool. You click on split, it gives us a preview of the packet. This is a 10-page packet and it starts with a listing agreement. And you can see here on the left, this is where you can actually set up how this packet should be split. So the way I have this set up is 1 to 5 is the listing agreement. Page 6 is the seller's advisory. And so once you get this set up appropriately, all you would end up doing is clicking split and assign. And it's going to say, nice job. 4 items were split and assigned to the checklist for you. So if I click go to checklist, we basically split up that packet. We renamed all 4 documents and we turned everything in for review all at the same time.